Issei Kannagi, an alternate universe version of Issei Hyoudou, was betrayed by his universe's orc. He trains for an unspecified amount of time, becoming a powerful dragon. He travels to the canon universe to start anew, where he meets canon Issei Hyoudou, who will be his mentee, rival. Issei Hyoudou x Harem, Rias especially, Seekvaira A.x Issei Kannagi, new chapter in progress. 3.3 Chapter 1. Introductions to the story, High School DxD fanfiction, alternate dragon. This is my first fanfic. The main protagonists will be an Issei named Issei Kannagi, and Issei Hyoudou. Bold equals Issei Kannagi regular equals Issei Hyoudou bold italic equals Issei Kannagi monologuing. Regular italic equals Issei Hyoudou monologuing 1, Reflections and Nightmares. Chapter 1 Reflections and Memories OD Drag equals bold. Canon D Drag equals regular Issei Kannagi POV. Canon Issei equals regular. I found myself in a blank void of nothingness. I had no idea where I was or how I got here. It was just an aimless space with nothing at all. The only thing there was dead silence. I didn't know what was going on, so I wandered around aimlessly. All of a sudden I felt a chill run down my spine, and I felt my heart crack as I hoped my suspicions on what caused my sudden change were wrong. "Would you die for me?" a familiar voice stated. "What the hell? Her? Why am I still remembering you?" I yelled as I laid my eyes on a girl with feathered wings. Although short-lived, playing innocent lovey-dovey with you was fun. Was that all I am to you from the beginning, a toy, I thought to myself. I grit my teeth in anger. I was about to attack her when Eyes, Issei-kun, Issei-senpai, Eyes, I-san. Eyes, I froze in fear. I know those voices respectively. No. Don't tell me, is that them? My face contorts in frustration and rage. I see a familiar red-headed girl with blue eyes and the Kuo Academy uniform. A raven-haired girl with a ponytail which held an orange ribbon. And a short girl with white hair. Ha 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 ha. I can't believe you actually thought I loved you. I was just using you from the beginning. You were nothing to me. You were never even meant to be loved. I was sickened just by being affectionate with you. The red-headed girl started with a despicable look and a sickening grin planted on her face while she laughed like a maniac. Tears welled up in my eyes as I clenched my fists. Was that all I am to you? A pawn in your stupid game? I thought to myself. I reflected on everything I did for her. Was I that meaningless? Was I just a tool? I believe I should thank you for freeing me from my marriage to Riser Phoenix. Then again, I could have killed him myself the day I was forced to get married to him. So ultimately you were useless to me from the beginning. The crimson-haired girl said while sneering at me. Sorry Eyes-kun, but you were only a toy to me. I never cared that much about you from the beginning, the black-haired girl said, as two other guys I immediately recognized due to one wearing glasses, and the other being almost bald appeared and started making out with her right in front of me, touching every part of her body, from her large breasts to her ass, and at the same time slipping their tongues in her mouth. She was moaning in pleasure while giving me the middle finger. I felt tears running down my face. Was I that meaningless to these people, the ones I did everything for? I cried heavily as a million thoughts were running through me. Oh my, you're crying. How pathetic, you weren't even able to touch these. The black-haired girl stated as she held up her breasts in front of me to make it look like she was blue-balling me. Eyes senpai, you're pathetic. I hated you from the beginning and I still hate you now, the white-haired short girl said as she ran up and sucker punched me in the gut. I groaned in pain as my knees hit the ground. My tears welled up even more and I could feel my anger rising to the surface as I grit my teeth even harder. My eyes started to shift colors to blue and my rage-infested aura was beginning to show itself. Boy, I froze again. Out of the void appeared two people, a middle-aged man and woman. I remembered them like the back of my hand. They had that same brown hair scornful look. They were the ones responsible for belting me in my left eye, forcing me to wear an eye patch. I glared at them, with my tear stains still running down my face. How pitiful. You thought you could forget about us by making a few cosmetic changes, they said, referring to my black hair which was previously brown. We never should have given birth to you in the beginning. You were nothing but a waste of space, they said once again. I hope you were bullied by everyone in your school, ahahaha. They were laughing at my pitiful state. I was on the ground, on my knees, my eye fully shifted to bright blue. My rage-infested aura already showing itself. As all of them were laughing at my suffering, they didn't even hear me say my one word. Die. Die for what you did to me. I roared like a dragon with all that I had in me. As I roared, my aura emitted blue flames that engulfed everyone. But it was as if my flames were useless, ineffective. It was as if my past would never stop haunting me. As they laughed even louder, all the painful memories I had just hit me like a battering ram hitting a man. I roared even louder into the blank sky. Almost as if I was begging someone to save me from this nightmare. When all of a sudden, I bolted upright from the bed with tears streaming down my blue right eye, as I sat up and breathed in and out. My body was coated in sweat which clung to my clothes like a second skin. It was another nightmare, I said, relaxing myself a little. But even as I convinced myself, only the bad memories remained. Would you die for me, eyes, oh Diedrich, Issei. Diedrich, you're up, what do you want? Oh Diedrich. I know you're having nightmares of them again, forget about them, trust me I hate them as much as you do. Why do you think I shifted colors to blue with you? We even traveled to this alternate Earth to start anew. Listen, forget about them, you're on another Earth, they can't hurt you anymore, just forget about them. You would benefit from that. Yeah sure, I growled in rage and shook my head. I decided to get a drink downstairs. It would calm me down. I went to my kitchen. It was relatively small, with not a lot of hardware, but it had a homey appearance. I walked up to the refrigerator, opened the door, and pulled out a pitcher with water. I then took out a glass. As I poured the liquid from the pitcher into the glass and took a swig, I looked at a digital clock. It was 4:30 a.m. I groaned just by looking at the time. Oh Diedrich. Hey partner, you should stop thinking about your past life, as long as you and I are partners. Even with as a god-level 16-winged dragon and being able to transform into one because of your training and anger. Together, we can get through anything. I sighed in exasperation. Oh Diedrich. We traveled to a whole other Earth in another universe just to forget the pain we went through together. For goodness sake, you even became a bounty hunter to gain income that allowed you to build this small house and to release your anger. I just remained silent. Oh Diedrich. Out of curiosity, with your brilliant intellect, why didn't you just become an engineer or businessman? I'm not a citizen of this Earth, Diedrich. I'm from another universe, remember? To apply to those kinds of jobs, I'd need a birth certificate, and a lot of other documents that need to be filled out by a parent. And you and I both know what happened. I also need good social skills. We all know how good I am in that department. For now I have to operate as a bounty hunter. Besides, I get to keep honing my skills hunting down bounties. Silence filled the room for a few minutes. Oh Diedrich, fair enough. Anyway, you should probably head back to bed, you know. We have a lot of bounties to hunt tomorrow and we could use the extra rest so we can survive. I'll go to bed now while I still have time. I returned everything to its proper place, turned off everything and went back to sleep. It's gonna be a long day tomorrow. End of chapter 1. Previous ch2 of 13. Next, chapter 2, Kuo Academy. High School DxD, Alternate Dragon Chapter 2, Kuo Academy. Regular italic equals characters talking in their heads somewhere else in Kuo Town in the later hours of the morning. A teenage boy with brown messy hair was walking along the streets of Kuo Town. He had just exited his house and was walking to the school known as Kuo Academy. While walking, he was being clinged onto by both a crimson-haired girl and a raven-haired girl, and he was followed by a blonde girl, a white-haired girl, a light brown-haired girl, a blue-haired girl, and a white-haired girl. Issei Hyoudou Pav. Akeno, let go, he is my Issei. On my left was Rias Gremory, who was clinging onto my left arm very tightly, her big bosom making contact with me. I giggled. I'm so lucky to have Rias as my girlfriend. I mean, I have the top beauty of Kuo Academy as my girlfriend. She could have chosen another person, but she chose me. Me. Oh my, Rias, you must lend him to me for a while. I love him too, you know. Not now, Akeno. Issei said he would be with me today and I love him more, you know. Isn't that right, Issei? Rias said as she pulled me in for a kiss on the lips. I sighed in delight as I kissed her on the cheek as well. So not true, Akeno exclaimed as she pulled me into her warm body and kissed me passionately. I am in heaven. I'm being kissed by Akeno. Man, her lips are so soft. Dear Satan, thank you for bringing these girls into my life. I praised the sky. Issei, you're so mean. Asia Argento was complaining with a pouty frown on her face. I want to show my love for you as well. All of a sudden Asia pulled me out of Akeno's loving embrace and kissed me herself. She started inserting her tongue into my mouth. Stop right there, Asia. I love Issei as well. It's only fair that I get to show him my affections as well, Zenobia Quarta and Irina Shido said in unison. They started doing a tug of war on my arms. Ow 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 ow. I thought to myself, I felt like my arms were going to pop out of their sockets. But I couldn't help it, ever since the girls helped me get over my trauma with Rainier, and helped me confess to Rias. I felt like their arms wrapped around my heart. Kaneko joined in on the action, move aside because that man is mine. Rias and Akeno were now giving off rage-filled auras. I am so dead. Asia, Zenobia, Irina, Kaneko, let go of him right now, Issei is mine. Rias and Akeno said in unison, their hands were full of their magic power. I had to defuse this situation fast before this area would get destroyed by a magical girl fight. Everyone calm down. We're gonna be late for school. We can discuss this matter later, I said with a smile, hoping it would be enough to calm all the girls down. The girls looked at me for a few seconds, they spoke with unison. That's right, we'll fight over Issei later. As soon as that was over, we continued on our way to school. As we walked, I held Rias' hand. I love you, Rias, I said with a blush on my face. I love you more, Issei, she said with a brighter blush. As we approached the academy, I whispered into Rias' ear. Rias, we should let go now. Rias suddenly had a depressed look on her face which I only want to kiss away. Why? I want to be close to you. I gripped her hand, as I myself didn't want to let go of her. We have to avoid letting the others at school know about our relationship. If they do, we will be bothered every day of every week. You'll be blackmailed and pressured by other guys to dump me and I'll be beaten up by everyone in class. Rias complained even further. I don't care if everyone is against our relationship. You have done so much for me and my household. I wouldn't leave you even if I saw a more handsome man. I want to stay with you for the rest of our long lives. If anyone dares oppose our love, I will blow them all to smithereens, Rias shouted. I know you do. But you are the school's top idol. I don't want you to ruin your reputation like that. I love you too much to let that happen to you, I stated with determination evident in my eyes. Rias pouted even more. It's so thoughtful of you to think of me that way, Issei, but I'll be so bored and lonely without you even if it's for a few hours, she said, gripping my hand. I could see tears welling up in her eyes, like a dam ready to burst. I thought to myself for a few moments. How about this, during the weekend, let's have a date. I can even work with you to make a plan for it. I don't want to bore you. My thoughts flashed back to Rainier. Nothing could have gone wrong with that date. But that also made it freaking boring. I didn't want to bore Rias. As my thoughts flashed back to Rainier, my mood darkened a little and my face contorted slightly. Rias Pav. How about this, during the weekend, let's have a date. I can even work with you to make a plan for it. I don't want to bore you. My heart was doing jumping jacks. I could date Issei. My heart was really jumping for joy. This was my Issei, so I was happy. I don't want to bore you. I noticed his sad expression as he said this. I wanted to ask him what was wrong, and I was going to, until. Ding dong, it was the school bell. Class was about to begin. I didn't want to separate from him. So I will agree with him. I too also wanted to go on a date with him. But I made a point to ask him about that part about boring me. Maybe even ask him why he couldn't confess to me earlier. Of course, Issei. I'd be happy to go out on a date with you, I exclaimed with joy. But deep down I was bothered by what he said about himself. Also, I didn't want to separate from him. Without him, life wouldn't feel complete. Suddenly Akeno appeared out of nowhere. Oh my, I too want to go out on a date with Issei, Akeno stated fearlessly. Issei smiled and said, we will one day, Akeno. I smiled for once. Issei has helped me and supported me with my many goals. I think it's time I helped him achieve his goal of achieving a harem. Besides, if I didn't, my mom would have pressured Issei to start one. Come on, Akeno. We gotta get to class. See you later, eyes. I said while looking at Issei with love in my eyes, sending him a flying kiss. Issei blushed at this action. I squealed on the inside. He's so cute. I wouldn't leave him for anyone else. Normal Pav. As Issei and Rias separated to go to their separate classes. Class had finally begun. Both devils were unmotivated to listen in their particular discussions. It was history for Issei Hyoudou and math class for Rias Gremory. Both were spacing out. Each one thinking of their significant other. Issei was thinking about Rias, her sweet personality and her beauty, and secretly her breasts, which he was fantasizing over. Rias on the other hand was thinking about all the times Issei had helped her. The incident with Riser, helping her solve the problems of her fellow household. But most importantly how he was helping her with her goals. She also thought of his cute adorable eyes, that messy hair and personality which she was fond of. Rias, Issei thought to himself. Issei, Rias thought to herself. Canon Diedrich. You would do well to listen in class, you know. Diedrich, you're talking to me. Issei said. Yes, I'm talking to you. You should listen, you know. You're almost failing this class, you better pull up your grades if you want to graduate, Diedrich said. Oh yeah, thanks, of course I want to graduate, Issei stated. Good. Also stop thinking about breasts for a while, you're making me depressed, Diedrich said. No promises, oh pie dragon, Issei stated while thinking about them again. Diedrich began to cry again. Break time. Issei was just thinking about Rias again. When suddenly he was hit on the head by two guys, who were none other than Matsuda and Motohama. OWWW. What was that for you guys? Issei asked while holding his head in pain. You asked for it, Matsuda and Motohama said in unison. What were you talking about with Rias senpai, Issei? Motohama asked as if he was interrogating Issei. Issei pav. Wait, did they see us? I gotta play dumb, prevent them from knowing, Issei thought, determined to preserve his girlfriend's reputation. I don't know what you're talking ab. Matsuda slammed his fist on my table, attracting the attention of other students in the process. Don't fool us, Pussei. We saw you outside the school talking with Rias senpai. Crap, they saw us. I need to figure out a way to maintain Rias's reputation. Club stuff, Issei said, hoping they would buy it. Don't lie to us. We saw Rias senpai gripping your hand a while ago. It was like you to have become very close. Tell us the truth. You have a duty as our friend to relay all information you have about the girls to us. Are they serious? They're the club girls with the president as my sweetheart. I'm not obligated to tell them anything. This caught the attention of the other students in the room. Rias and that pervert? Do you think she and he are a thing? Of course not. Why would she ever associate with a good-for-nothing pervert like him? She deserves a handsome, flawless man, ripped as hell. An Adonis if you may. Like Yuto Kiba, all the girls stated, dreaming of the two of them as a couple. Not knowing the boy who Rias Gremory truly loves was not Kiba, but Issei himself. Those guys are useless and hopeless, both the girls and the boy said. Matsuda and Motohama retorted, we're not useless. Yeah, you are. You perverts only see women as tools to lose their virginity to. Two girls named Murayama and Katase responded. Deep inside, Issei was getting angrier and more irritated by the second. Was this how they truly viewed him? A lowly pervert with no redeeming qualities? He had to admit he is a proud pervert and he would never stop being one. But a pervert with no redeeming qualities. A person who only viewed women as tools. He may want a harem. But he would never force a girl to do his bidding or bend them to his will. This is also true in the canon. You Issei haters think that he only cares about women for their bodies? He cares about women and their bodies, yes, but he also cares about their personality. Please read the light novels. Canon Diedrich. Shoot. Partner, you got to do something if you want to maintain your girlfriend's reputation. Diedrich deep down was burning in rage over what they were saying about his partner. He may be a pervert, but he knew for a fact from all the things he went through, that Issei was more than just a pervert. He would even go so far as to say he enjoyed being with his current host more than all the others. While the other hosts are only obsessed with power. Issei clearly didn't obsess over it. He knew about the power he could gain, but he didn't want it. He wanted to become stronger in his own way. It was this that made him attached to his current host. If they weren't in school right now, Diedrich would have incinerated all the crap-talking students to ashes. Meanwhile, in another classroom, so, Rias, do you already have a special someone? A few random girls asked her, noticing she was blushing while looking at the window. Rias responded by looking at the girls. She was very startled in the process when she snapped out of her trance. Her thoughts were just circling around Issei. She was about to answer when she suddenly remembered. Rias pav. Wait, I can't say anything about that. If they find out about me and my eyes, he could end up getting hurt. I've seen how some of the students in the school beat up my eyes. I don't want to see him getting hurt. Besides, he said he wanted to preserve my reputation as the top idol of the school. To be honest, if I could sacrifice my title as idol of the school just to be with him every second of every day, I would do it in a heartbeat. But for now I should play along for the sake of my eyes. No. What makes you think that? I answered quickly as if I was denying it. But deep down I already have Issei as a sweetheart. And I'm not going to let him go, ever. Well, you were blushing a few seconds ago. We thought that you may have found someone. Is it Kiba? I looked at her and shook my head calmly. I did like Kiba, but only as a brother. I think in terms of looks and discipline, Kiba scored in that department. But I'm not only into looks, and besides, Issei was cute as well. Issei went through all sorts of trouble and hell to ensure my happiness. His loyalty paled in comparison to Issei. "Ah, you two would be a cute couple," the girl said. I rejected the idea in my head. The only man for me is Issei himself. By the way, Rias, there are rumors swirling around the school, that good-for-nothing pervert Issei is blackmailing you and Akeno senpai to do sexual stuff to him, another random girl said. We should beat the perversity out of him, we should kill him. The girls were laughing about their plans. Those thoughts about my eyes almost made my anger rise to the surface. I was on the verge of exploding with rage. Is this what the entire school thinks of my eyes? I was so mad I was thinking of screaming. Worst of all, I knew exactly who was spreading those rumors. Issei's two friends. They've been jealous of him ever since they saw me with him. If I ever see them again, I'm going to one-hit kill them with my magic. No one talks bad of my eyes. Akeno would most likely explode in rage if she found out about this. She would electrocute those two. She fell in love with Issei as well. End of Chapter 2, first, previous ch3 of 13 next. Chapter 3. Bounty Hunter High School DxD, Alternate Dragon. Chapter 3. Bounty Hunter Reminders. Issei Kannagi is my OC. He is an alternate universe Issei Hyoudou who was betrayed by his orc and traveled to Canon Earth to start anew. His betrayal has almost completely warped his personality, such as losing his desire to find a harem and becoming obsessed with becoming stronger. He is a mix between canon Issei Hyoudou, Naofumi Iwatani, Rising of the Shield Hero, Kazuma Yagami, K's No Stigma, and a little bit of Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. Issei equals bold refers to Issei Kannagi. Issei equals regular refers to Issei Hyoudou, canon. In the outskirts of Kuo Town, normal POV, 11 a.m. Issei had just gotten out of bed, his mind in an aggressive state, almost as if he was fuming with rage. However, he kept himself calm and began to get ready to go to his bounty hunter guild known as the Kuo Hunter Guild, an organization of bounty hunters. He was their best one due to his sacred gear, abilities, and combat prowess. Everyone hated him for it. To tell the truth, he didn't care. He couldn't care less about any of them. They could kiss his ass. He was only there to earn money. Nothing more, nothing less. To tell the truth, Issei had been a member for several months, operating under the alias of Blue Phantom. When he became a newly recruited bounty hunter, many other of his fellow bounty hunters bullied him. He would be a victim of their discrimination, particularly because of his age and his size. While quite tall for his age, many of the other bounty hunters were bigger and more muscular. As a result, when he first arrived, he would be discriminated against. Too bad the other bounty hunters had no idea how powerful he was. Issei had been discriminated against before. In his home universe, he had been bullied and abused by both his fellow students and family members, physically. His damaged eye was evidence of his suffering, and he wore an eye patch to cover it up. He remembered all the times he suffered under bullying from girls because those two perverted retards in his home universe, Matsuda and Motohama, framed him for peeping when it was them who were peeping. To be fair, he was also a pervert. His tragedies had almost changed him completely. Now fueled by a burning rage, he desired to become more powerful. He trained for several months non-stop. Not just in enhancing the amplifying gear, which was formerly called boosted gear, but also in other combat elements and martial arts. Ninjutsu, karate, jujitsu, judo, shotokan, southern dragon kung fu, aikido, and naginata jutsu. He grew in strength and power, but at a cost. He had lost his humanity. Not that he had minded. Issei had already put on his clothes. He wore a black collar, black version of the Kuo Academy white collar, with a gray shirt underneath, black pants, gray shin armor, and gray-silver armor shoes. He now decided to put on his waistcoat. He wore it around his waist, and he had been doing it for the past few months. He then proceeded to pull out a dark blue mask. He wore a mask every time he went to the Bounty Hunter Guild headquarters. He didn't want anyone knowing his true identity. He put on a pair of goggles that covered the top half of his face. He then proceeded to put on a hood. He noticed his right hand was bare and decided to put on gray forearm armor, with a spandex arm sleeve underneath it which covered his entire arm including his fingers. The forearm armor concealed only his forearm, so the rest of his right arm was covered with the spandex arm sleeve which was exposed. He deployed his blue gauntlet, which housed his Diedrig. Oh Diedrig. On it partner. Welsh Dragon Fusion Cannon. His blue gauntlet shined on his left arm, and after a few seconds a blue blaster with spikes on the edges appeared on his gauntlet. He pulled 3 black swords, put 2 on his back and 1 on his waist. The last thing he pulled was a silver talisman with a strap on it. He wrapped it around his body and finally finished up. Time to go. The walk to the guild headquarters was relatively short. It was a 10-minute walk from Issei's abandoned shrine in the woods to the guild hall itself. As he entered, he was already receiving scornful and discriminating looks from the other bounty hunters. The guild hall itself was not that pleasing to look at, but not disgusting as well. The walls were composed of stone and the ground was made of cemented tiles. There were tables around the first floor area, and there was a staircase leading to the boss's room. There were also a few overhead lights on the ceiling, with torches on pillars that surrounded a few areas of the first floor. But what really caught many eyes was a bar in the middle of the hall area. It was surrounded by nailed stools with a rounded table with a bartender in it. While Issei didn't have a good relationship with anyone in the guild, particularly because of his aloof nature and his reputation, as well as his fellow bounty hunters' hatred for him, he was actually pretty friendly with the guild's bartender named Erhard. Erhard was, to put it plainly, a kind and pleasant man. He was a friend to many of the guild's bounty hunters. However, he held a more interesting friendship with the Blue Dragon. When Issei had first arrived at the Bounty Hunter Guild months ago, he did not talk to anybody and had asked for a drink and some food. Erhard sensed the pain he held behind his eyes and offered it to him for free. The Blue Dragon simply nodded, as if he was saying, "Thanks." Shortly before Issei arrived, a few bounty hunters were abusing one of the smaller, weaker bounty hunters. "Yeah, ahaha. Kick him in the balls," one of the bounty hunters said while drinking on a glass. The bounty hunters were kicking him, the smaller bounty hunter, right in the balls exactly. When Issei had stepped in, the bigger bounty hunter's drink spilled on the floor. The bigger bounty hunter decided to make him responsible for his spilled drink even though he hadn't done anything. Issei walked up to the bar and looked at Erhard. "Erhard, hey kid. Lemme guess, the usual?" Issei simply stared at him with his eyes covered due to the goggles and his mask covering his mouth. Erhard already knew what he was saying. "Oi, Phantom. You spilled my drink. What are you going to do about it?" Issei didn't even respond, almost as if he hadn't heard him. "Oi. Didn't you hear me, pussy? I said, you spilled my drink," the bigger bounty hunter said. Again Issei did not respond, almost as if he was trying to trigger him. But in all honesty he couldn't care less. Erhard had returned and heard the commotion. He said, "You spilled his drink," Erhard said, clearly worried about the kid. Issei still remained silent, just sitting down almost as if he couldn't hear anything. Erhard, not wanting the kid to get hurt, simply said, "Listen, it's fine, it's on me." He left the room to prepare the food and drinks. The bigger bounty hunter looked at Issei's left arm. "What is that, an invention of yours?" the bounty hunter said, almost as if he was mocking him. To tell the truth, all the bounty hunters thought his left arm was an invention of his. That's why they hated him. They believed his invention helped him secure his spot as the most proficient and skilled bounty hunter in the guild due to the powerful damage it inflicted. And while Issei is a genius-level engineer, his left arm was actually a sacred gear he was born with. Due to no longer having a way to have the dragon energy drained to revert to his human arm, Issei's left arm was now his gauntlet arm, which he found annoying to show in public when not in battle. It made him feel like a freak, like how he was treated in his old universe. Another bounty hunter appeared at Issei's side. "Me and my boys will be taking that invention of yours, boy," the bounty hunter said as he held a large knife in his right hand, intent on becoming the top bounty hunter in the guild. Erhard had returned with food and drinks. He placed them on the table in front of Issei. Issei took the glass and drank from it until all the contents of the glass were consumed. When all of a sudden, crash, Issei had struck the bounty hunter's face with said glass. The bounty hunter screamed in pain. He was bleeding from the cheek, forehead, the mouth and the neck. The most gruesome part was that there was a shard embedded in the bounty hunter's eye. Blood was pooling out of it like a waterfall. The bounty hunter growled in rage. His other friend began charging at Issei. He attempted to slash the boy with his knife and all movements were sloppy, so Issei knew how to perfectly evade his attack. Issei caught the bounty hunter's hand and turned his knife hand back in on himself, impaling the bounty hunter in the chest. He then slammed his face into the table hard, cracking his skull and breaking his nose. As for the other bounty hunter, he tried to escape out the door. He tried limping as fast as he could, but all of a sudden it felt as if he couldn't. Like he was being lifted in the air. He looked behind him only to find something completely horrifying. Issei had his hand in the air, in an open hand gesture. Almost as if he was lifting the bounty in the air. The other bounty hunters turned white. "Is that telekinesis?" a bounty hunter said. "I've never seen telekinesis. I mean, I thought it was a freaking myth, but apparently not," another stated. Issei then pushed his hand forward, hurling the bounty hunter out the glass window, getting him out of his field of vision in the process. The other bounty hunters were still scared after seeing such a display of power. But in reality, they had only seen a small portion of his full powers. Issei looked at a request board in the guild base. He saw a flyer request to hunt down and kill some criminals, in exchange for 500,000 yen. "Oh Diedrich. Jackpot. Take it, partner." Issei took the job flyer and started walking out of the guild hall, but he stopped at Erhard's table and gave him 1,000 yen for the damage he caused. "Thanks kid," Erhard thought to himself. 10 minutes later. Issei had just arrived at the destination where he would carry out the task to kill these criminals. An open-aired shopping place. They definitely looked like criminals all right, clad in baggy black outfits, with hoods armed with knives and daggers. It looked like they were stealing from people, wallets, phones, anything of valuable use to them. "Oh Diedrich. You know, if you use our balance breaker, partner, we could end this battle in 10 seconds, you know. And if you use your other form, this battle would end instantly. The criminals would go pass out in fear just by looking at you." Issei Kannagi pav. He's right, with the power I have, this fight would instantly. But on the other hand, I don't want to attract the attention of anyone who is extraordinary. My mind flashed back to the painful memories I had of the Gremory household, whom I thought loved me. But no, they just cast me aside like rubbish. I hate them. The church was right about one thing: devils really are evil. They can burn in the fires of hell. They probably can't even burn in hell. What a bummer. I immediately shook my head at those negative thoughts. I had to focus on the task at hand if I wanted that bounty to be completed. I focused my eye on the leader. I could use a carefully crafted plan based on strategy and tactics to ensure the civilians did not get hurt. But only heroes do that. And I'm no hero. I instead pulled out my twin swords, and just walked right out into the open as if I didn't care what danger would await me. Not that I was in any form of danger that I am currently in right now. Normal pav. The leader of the criminals set sight on the bounty hunter as B just walked towards him, standing only a few feet away from him. He recognized the appearance based on the stories of a bounty hunter wiping out criminals in the outskirts of Kuo Academy. A person wearing a black collar with armor on his shins and forearms. A dark blue mask, and most notably the swords he carried. "I see, the blue phantom has arrived. Know this, we are not your average criminals. Get out of here, lowly maggot, and we might let you keep your head after taking your belongings," the criminal leader said, with his henchmen pointing their knives at him. The criminal leader knew of his reputation, a bounty hunter skilled in the art of tactics and strategy, not to mention his sword-fighting proficiency and martial arts combat. That reputation was enough to make others terrified to the core. That was only leaving out his secret abilities, like his sacred gear, no doubt. "Why are you here to stop us? With your abilities you could rule the country, the world even. Why waste your time being a hero? It doesn't make sense." Issei, aka Blue Phantom, was silent. Silence filled the whole area as the criminal leader waited for a reply. "Why are you silent? Answer M," the criminal said before suddenly being struck with an unbearable amount of pain. He fell to the ground shortly after. The last thing he saw, the same bounty hunter with his swords drawn in sides, as death overtook him. Issei had slashed through his chest, severing his torso from his waist before it fell to the floor. The henchmen screamed at the sight of their leader murdered. The crowd was slightly relieved but terrified to the core at the sight of the leader dead. His eyes were still open, his mouth was open, blood pooling out of it on the pavement making a puddle of blood, while the torso also leaked blood into a large puddle. It was gruesome to look at. Issei looked at the criminals, drawing his sword at them, raised his hand perpendicularly to his body directing them to fight him, almost as if he was saying, "Come at me." Under the mask, his eyes were glowing blue, and he was grinning like a maniac. They couldn't see it. "Give me a real fight," Issei said, terrifying the criminals. All of them decided to honor their leader and decided to run up to him to stab him with their knives. Issei took one of the criminals' arms when one of them attempted to stab him and ripped it off. Issei had officially decided to fight bare-handedly. Two of the criminals had attempted to stab him in the back, but he found out in the nick of time and threw a nearby table at both of them with one hand, shattering their skulls in the process. 5 more criminals attempted to fight him. Issei used his skill in ninjutsu and judo to deliver multiple kicks and sucker punches at them, knocking them out with ease. He used judo to shoulder throw the 5th criminal, delivering a head-crushing impact to the criminal. The last criminal looked big, bulky, and strong. He also looked like an idiot. Brutes, huh? Issei thought to himself. Hey D-Drag, activate it. Oh D-Drag. On it, partner. Welsh Dragon, fusion cannon. A blue spiked blaster appeared out of Issei's left hand, which was now covered with the gauntlet of the Blue Dragon Emperor. A concentrated ball of energy began to charge and grow in power, preparing to fire in the process. He pointed it at the brute. The brute began to run away, hoping he could survive the blast, but he didn't know the cold hard truth. He was already dead. The cannon fired, blasting the brute into smithereens, and leaving nothing of the brutish criminal behind. Issei had finished his task completing the bounty. He could finally get his hard-earned reward. This was boring and stupid, Issei thought to himself. Issei looked at all the civilians who were still visibly terrified by his combat prowess. They hadn't even seen him at full power. Issei just walked away, returning to the Bounty Hunter Guild with the leader's torso in hand as proof of his task completed. Back at the guild hall, the guild boss was proud that Issei had completed the task quickly and without sustaining injury. He certainly liked him because he was their best. Issei, however, had no respect for the boss at all. He was a dishonest, corrupt snake who would bite the hand of anyone who feeds him. Looks like you did a good job, Phantom. Here's your reward, the boss said, with a sickening grin. He handed over a large duffel bag of cash, containing 500,000 yen. The boss was disgusting to look at. His face was super oily. He was so fat his shirt was breaking as it tried stretching to cover his belly, but to no avail. His worst feature was his ugly face. He looked like a blobfish. Issei took the money and left the guild hall, having no desire to interact with anyone. Oh D-Drag. Hey partner, we should eat in that opened-air area inside Kuo town. I heard that place has good food. Good food alright. D-Drag was salivating in pleasure upon thinking of food. Normally he couldn't eat due to being in the sacred gear, but with Issei's help he developed a small body that could appear at will that allowed him to eat. He was thankful for having a good partner and was angry when he was betrayed. If he found the ones who betrayed his partner again, he would murder them without hesitation. Issei had heard of that place. It was called Kuo Eats. An opened-air area with multiple restaurants was popular. He had heard the food was pretty good and that the setting was also good with no insects despite it being open-aired, particularly from bounty hunters from his guild. Normally he refused to go to the inner part of Kuo town due to the chances of him running into anyone looking like people he knew from his universe. But this time he decided to go eat there. Anyway, he was hungry. That does sound like a good idea. Alright, let's do it. Oh D-Drag. Yeeees. Issei returned home to his abandoned shrine change. He didn't want people reacting to a bounty hunter in the inner parts of Kuo town. As soon as he got home, Issei took a hot shower, which kept his rage aflame. As he thought of all his tragedies, how he despised women and all the memories came rushing back to him. Would you die for me? All you were good for was saving me from the Riser Phoenix? Sorry Issei-kun, I-san, I-senpai, crash. Issei punched the shower wall while clenching his teeth and growling, leaving a crack in the process. As much as he tried to forget, his past only kept haunting him. He hated it, he still hated it to this day, but he realized without that rage, he would have never become as strong as he is now. Also deep down, he knew that no one could ever love someone as him. All the girls found him repulsive and ugly after all. And the people whom he thought loved him, only feigned their affection, shattering his desire to find love or even a harem. Oh D-Drag. Partner, get a hold of yourself. Issei controlled his rage and exited the shower, ready to get a bite from a good meal. Issei put on a blue t-shirt, with a white collar, the same as Issei Hyoudo's Kuo Academy collar. And black pants. He put on the same gray metal shoes he wore that was part of his armor as a bounty hunter, but removed the shins so they looked like regular shoes. He also put on the same silver talisman with the strap and wrapped it around his body. He went out of his house in the forest, and began making his way to the inner parts of Kuo town. It was a long walk, taking around 1 hour of walking before he had finally arrived at the open-aired eating area. Oh D-Drag. I can already smell that delicious food from here, partner, come on, let's eat. I'll get some ramen for myself and I'll get you whatever you want, D-Drag. Issei said almost emotionlessly. Oh DDRAIG, pizza. Issei groaned. Issei arrived at the ramen kiosk. The cashier retailer was a woman. He hated women. But he knew he had to at least be civilized and not lash out. So he did the least what he could do. "Show you ramen, large, make it quick," he said tersely and in a gruff pitch, giving off a rage-infested aura. The retailer was scared. "That would be 1,000 yen, sir," the retailer said. Issei put the money on the table, and the retailer took it, gave a buzzer to let him know when the food was prepared and walked as quickly as she could, not wanting to be on this person's bad side any longer. Issei groaned. "Diedrich, let's go get that pizza, oh Diedrich, yesss." They eventually got buzzers for both foods, and were just drinking soda from one of the open eating area restaurants that sold drinks. The other bounty hunters were right. The place was visually appealing to look at, and the open eating area was pretty good also. It was pretty clean. He remembered when he used to eat in a place like this with them. Issei clenched his teeth in frustration again. "Oh Diedrich. Partner, calm down, forget about your sufferings." "I'm sorry Diedrich. How on earth can you expect me to calm down and forget my tragedies after what I've been through? Do you have any idea what it feels like, huh? To think yourself as someone who was loved by others because of the affection they gave, only to have your heart shattered by the people whom you thought loved you." Issei snapped in his head. He didn't want to cause a commotion in a place like this. "Oh Diedrich. Partner, I know what you've been through. I was there too, remember? I was also indirectly a victim of your tragedy due to being bonded to your soul permanently. I hate what they did to you. But you need to learn to control yourself, if you don't want to go insane." "I don't even know if I'm still sane," Issei said. The food buzzer systems rang. First, previous ch4 of 13 next. Chapter 4. Green-Eyed Perverts High School DxD Fanfic, Alternate Dragon. Chapter 4. Green-Eyed Perverts Warning. Matsuda and Motohama bashing in this chapter. Regular equals Issei Hyoudou, bold equals Issei Kannagi, regular equals Issei Hyoudou speaking. Bold equals Issei Kannagi speaking, regular equals Issei Hyoudou monologuing. Bold equals Issei Kannagi monologuing at Kuo Academy. The school day had finally ended. Issei and the other members of the orc were already heading out to the Occult Research Club building, the old schoolhouse. They entered the building's main room. Kiba was already on the couch waiting for the president to, and cute little Gasper Vladdy was in his box as always, playing with the handheld that Issei had given him. "Good afternoon, President," Kiba and Gasper said in unison, with Kiba bowing in respect. "Hi Gasper." "Hi Kiba," Rias said happily. She decided to get started on the regular daily schedule, which involved listing the number of contracts each of her peerage members had acquired. "All right, let's get started everyone," Rias said. "Anyway, as you all know, we have gathered here to take a look at the number of contracts acquired," Rias stated, now in an authoritative tone but with a mix of sweetness with it. "Anyway. For Akano she has 9. Kiba, 8 inches, Kaneko, 7 inches. Asia, 5, Xenovia, 3 inches, and for eyes 2. Irina, while being a member of the orc, did not have any contracts due to her S. Sorry, I've been trying to get contracts honestly," Issei said with a depressed look on his face. Era. Looks like Aiz-kun has been working harder to get contracts," Akano said, nibbling on Issei's ear shortly afterward, her boobs pressing onto Issei's arm. "I think I'm in heaven right now. Oh man, her boobs, they feel so good. I just want to grope them." "Eyes, I love you." "Ufufufu," Akano said. "Akano," Rias said, angry that Akano insisted on being affectionate to her boyfriend, when she herself should be the one being affectionate to him. She went up to Issei, and pounced on him, pinning him down in the process. Rias?" Issei asked, aroused and surprised at what Rias had just done. Rias suddenly shoved his face into her breasts, smothering him in the process. "Oh man. Breasts, in my face. Thank you Rias. I love you so much," Issei said in his head while having a nosebleed. "Nay eyes, you love my breasts right?" Rias asked. "Yes. But not as much as I love you Rias," Issei said, his voice muffled by Rias's clothing. Rias blushed a very bright shade of red, almost uncanny to her hair color. "Eyes, I love you so much," Rias said. She kissed him on the lips, putting her hands on the side of his head. Issei wrapped his arms around her neck. Suddenly Akano grabbed Issei by pulling him out from underneath Rias, upsetting her further. Era, lend him to me for a while Rias. I want to be his mistress, you know." "Issei-san, I love you too," Asia said, clinging onto Issei as well. Issei, when will we start procreating? Zenobia said, clinging onto Issei's right arm. Same, I want to have a child with you, Issei. A dragon's child will definitely be a great benefit to Lord Michael, Irina said, clinging onto Issei's right side. Issei senpai, let me sit on your lap, Kaneko said, already on his lap. Rias was just about to yell again, but she ultimately decided she would let them have Issei as well. Issei wanted a harem. It was time she helped him with that goal. Rias began to make contact with Issei by staying on his other lap. Issei wanted to show a gesture of affection, so he removed his arms, and pulled all the girls into one big embrace. Everyone, I love you all so much, Issei said, tears welling up in his eyes. The girls noticed his tears, they were crying now. We love you, Issei. The girls cried. Kiba and Gasper had tears as well. Good job, Aiz-kun, Kiba and Gasper said in their heads, proud of their fiend. Meanwhile, from outside the windows, two perverts had seen the whole thing, and were absolutely filled with jealousy and rage. They were crying tears of blood. Somewhere else, what the hell did we just see, bro? Matsuda screamed, not believing his eyes. You know what we just saw, brother, Motohama retorted. They had just seen the Occult Research Club girls, ranging from the church trio to the two great ladies of Kuo Academy, fight over their soon-to-be former friend Issei. They were arguing with each other over who Issei loves. They even wanted his children. Rias Gremory and Akeno Hamejima, two of the most popular ladies at Kuo Academy, were in love with Issei. The two idiots were absolutely filled with jealousy and rage. Issei was just as unpopular and creepy as them. He was also not as skilled as them. They were more handsome and athletic, or so they believed, even though the entire school didn't like them because they were repulsive ugly pigs. They even believed themselves to be smarter compared to Issei. Besides, they had bigger dicks compared to Issei. And yet they just saw their former friend, Issei Hyoudou, a member of the perverted trio. The one who they said they would achieve their dreams of gaining a harem, had already achieved and gained a harem of women who loved him. What did Issei have that they didn't? What does Issei have that we don't, brother? Matsuda yelled. I don't know, dude, Motohama retorted. The two began to smile creepily. If Issei found a harem of women who loved him for who he is, they would attempt to steal his harem, like those NTR hentais they used to read along with Issei. The two imagined themselves having sex with all the girls from the orc while giving Issei the middle finger, who watched, crying due to having his girls stolen from him. Little did they know, that plan was going to fail, and they had made the biggest mistake of their lives. They made a plan. They would ask Issei to go buy them some food. While he was gone, they would sneak into the orc clubhouse, peep into the clubhouse, and they would spy on the girls to find out why they loved Issei so much. After that, they would give the girls reasons why they should leave that bastard Issei for real men like them. If that failed, they would force them to leave Issei and become their girlfriends. They strongly believed the plan was foolproof. If only they knew what he went through for them. If only they knew why the girls were so faithful and loving to Issei. The next day, Matsuda and Motohama walked up to Issei. Hey Issei, they said in unison, excited about the plan. Hey guys, Issei said, so listen, we have a favor to ask you. Can you go buy us some food? We need to deal with some stuff? Matsuda and Motohama asked. Yeah, sure. Issei said, willing to help his friends, unaware they were going to peep on his harem. Thanks, go on already, Issei. Take your time. Matsuda and Motohama said, wanting to carry out their plan on the girls. Issei had already left the school to look for food to buy for his friends. Alright. Operation Peep on Issei's girls is a go, the idiotic duo said. At the orc clubhouse, the duo had already made it to the clubhouse. They were already peeping in through the windows. Akeno, Kaneko, and Rias get ready for the day by changing their clothes. Their voluptuous figure and bouncing breasts would make any boy go hard. The same went for the two idiots. We hit the jackpot, bro. We can totally steal his girls, Matsuda told Motohama. Be quiet, they might hear us, idiot, Motohama responded. Too bad. The girls had already been aware of their presence a few minutes ago while Matsuda and Motohama were peeping on them. Rias, I'm sensing the presence of two boys, neither of which are Issei senpai, Kaneko Taju said, aware of their presence due to the weak foreign key. I think I might know who those two boys are, Rias said. They probably thought they could steal us from Aiz. Oh well, time to teach those two boys a lesson. Maybe I can even let them know the consequences of spreading rumors. Kaneko, would you mind dealing with them? Rias said. Already on it, Kaneko said. The two idiots were still giggling while peeping in on them, getting ready for the next part of their plan. What they didn't know was that Kaneko was directly behind them. "Sicko freaks," Kaneko said. "Ehhhhhh," the two perverts said. "Kaneko-chan," Matsuda exclaimed. "It's not what you think, we were just—" In a flash, Kaneko knocked both of them out cold, their unconscious bodies hitting the floor with a loud thud. 15 minutes later, "OWW my head," Matsuda said groggily, noticing the extreme pain inflicted on his head, a lump the size of a watermelon seen on his head. "OWW my everything," Motohama said groggily, feeling pain in his arms, legs, and head. "Looks like you two are awake," Rias senpai, both exclaimed, but they stared at her breasts, not her face. "Her breasts are so huge. Damn, why is Issei the only one getting to hold these breasts? Well, time to cuck him." They attempted to move out, but to their shock they couldn't. They tried to move their arms, but they couldn't. They eventually realized they were bound. Their hands were tied by rope with a strong material, making it impossible for them to break free. "Let me guess, Matsuda and Motohama, right?" Rias said. "You know our names," the idiot said, delighted that the top beauty of the school knew their names. "Yes, we know your names. Aren't you Issei-kun's friends?" Akeno said. None of the girls in the room actually liked Issei's friends, mainly because of all the beatdowns they gave their precious lover, and how they spread rumors of how Issei blackmailed them. But most importantly, unlike Issei, they were perverts with no redeemable qualities, such as them peeping in the girls' bathroom. "Speaking of pussy, why don't you girls leave that loser and go out with us? You three deserve real men such as us," Matsuda and Motohama said, giving off the handsome smiles of a Casanova, but they just looked disgusting, disgusting enough to actually pity them. The girls were absolutely ticked off and enraged. Were these people really Issei's friends? He told them how he met them in his earlier years, and even spent a lot of time with them developing their mutual perverted attitudes. The two stuck through their difficulties because Issei was there for them. And now this? Were they so jealous of Issei that they would betray him by taking away the people he held dear to his heart? It was absolutely revolting. Even devils like Riser Phoenix and Zephyridor Glacia Labelas, for all their flaws, perversion, and delinquencies, wouldn't go this far. "No thanks, I'll stick with Eyes," Rias said. "My heart belongs to Eyes-kun," Akeno said. "Preach it, sister," Kaneko agreed. "Why not? What does Issei have that we don't? He only cares about your breasts. He's an idiot. He's ugly, and he's weak. Also, have you seen his dick? Ours is bigger. You should be with us, not him. We're more handsome, skilled, and athletic," the boys said, filled with envy. "That's where you're wrong, boys," Akeno said, her voice filled with venom. "You two are hypocrites," Kaneko said. "He's not just a pervert, you know," Akeno said, remembering all the times Issei had helped her by accepting her for who she is despite his tragedy at the hands of the fallen angel Rainier. How he stopped her from making a huge mistake when she tried to have sex with him but was depressed, and how he helped repair the relationship between her father and herself. "You two are retarded scumbags compared to Issei," Kaneko said, aware of how perverted these two were compared to Issei. "Issei's a pervert, but there's so much more to him than his perversion. He may have his flaws, but he has done more for us than what you know. Without Eyes, we wouldn't even be able to be where we are right now," Rias said, infuriated that they would even try to betray their friend like this. "Okay, how about when it comes to banging you? He is so small, you know. Be with us instead. We'll give you the time of your lives," they said, desperate to steal Issei's girls and lose their virginities. "Let me tell you two something, even if we found a man with a bigger manhood, we would still stay with Issei. We're not sluts after big dicks, you know. We fell in love with Issei because of who he is. No other man could replace him. Isn't that right, Akeno, Kaneko?" Rias said, annoyed at these two for their sexist views. The girls nodded strongly in agreement. The two boys were emotionally furious. They believed they were only after Issei because of his dick. How could these girls settle for someone like him? "Come to think of it, aren't you two the boys responsible for spreading those rumors around the school about Eyes-kun blackmailing us?" Akeno said, hearing about the rumors swirling around. When the rumors started spreading around, Akeno initially was only annoyed. But after she fell madly in love with Issei, she became even more enraged at the rumors. She wanted to electrocute the people who spread the rumors about Eyes-kun. She found out it was from these two idiots. She wanted to do more than just electrocute them. She wanted to torture them. She saw the beatings Issei received because of the rumors and hated the two for it. "Let me personally thank you for doing that," Akeno said, having a nasty surprise in store for the two of them. changing into a risque dominatrix outfit. The two idiots dropped their mouths open. Their pants got tighter. They were finally gonna get laid. With one of the hottest girls in school. Too bad they were wrong. Akeno suddenly pulled out a whip and her hands were sparking with electricity. The two boys were suddenly struck with fear. To make matters worse, Kaneko cracked her knuckles, and Rias had a rage-infested aura around her. "We're so screwed," the two boys said in their heads. Sometime later Issei had just returned from buying food, when Matsuda and Motohama came up to him. They were covered in dirt and bruises. Matsuda red marks all over his face. He had a black eye from the beating the orc girls gave him and his shirt was almost torn in half. Matsuda on the other hand, also had the same injuries but to a more severe degree. To add to that his glasses were broken, from Kaneko's power-induced punches. "Hey Issei. Guess what, we finally got laid," the two idiots said. Issei already knew that they didn't get laid. They probably attempted to but were given a beatdown by a few girls. It was. "Oh really, with who?" Issei said. "Rias senpai, Akeno senpai, and Kaneko-chan," they said. "Yeah, they had such a good time. They were like, 'Oh Motohama, Matsuda, fuck us in the ass. Your dick is way bigger than that loser Issei's. They even said they wanted to leave you for us," Motohama and Matsuda said. Issei was fuming with rage. He didn't believe them. It was obviously a lie due to how they looked like right now. But the fact that they attempted to lay a hand on his girlfriend and the girls he cared about was enough to make him do something ugly. "Hey guys," Issei calmly said. "Yeah," they said, not knowing what came next. Thud. Issei delivered a powerful punch to Motohama's face, fully breaking his glasses in the process. He was sent flying until he hit a pole. Matsuda attempted to fight Issei by throwing a sloppy jab. This ended up with Issei punching him in the gut hard. Matsuda was sent flying to the same pole. Issei began to kick the two of them hard. A few students were shocked at this very scene. "Why'd you guys attempt it, huh? I thought we were friends. We've been friends for a long time and you try to pull a stunt like this on me. Because you betrayed us. We were supposed to get harems together, but you betrayed us. You found girls who love you without even trying. Even though we failed time and time again, we wanted to have what you have," the two of them said. The other students didn't hear what they were saying. They could only see the fight scene. They were in shock. "Let me tell you something. The reason you guys haven't found girls to love you is because you have no respect for women. You only view them as tools to lose your virginities to. I've come a long way from that." The two idiots were speechless. Issei stopped beating them up. "We are no longer friends. I will let you off easy for now. But if you ever try to lay a hand on my friends, or spread rumors about me again, I will murder both of you." Issei left his ex-friends on the ground, and went directly to the orc building. "Diedrich. Well, you finally disowned them, partner. I never liked those two idiots anyway. Spreading rumors was one thing, but attempting to take my girlfriend and the girls who love me is another. I will protect them with my life," Issei said to Diedrich with determination. "Diedrich. Good job, partner." He entered the building, finding Rias, Akeno, and Kaneko. "Hi Eyes-kun," Akeno said, happy to see him, giving him a love-filled hug. "Eyes," Rias said, happy to see him. "Issei-senpai," Kaneko said. "I heard that Matsuda and Motohama came here. Did they do anything to you guys?" "Don't worry Eyes, we didn't make love to them if that's what you're thinking," Rias said honestly. "I didn't think that. I knew because of the bruises you guys gave them," Issei replied. "We beat them up Eyes-kun because of all the rumors that they spread about you," Akeno stated. "You didn't have to do that. Now you'll get in trouble," Issei said as he hugged them. "Anything for you, Eyes," Rias said as she kissed him on the cheek. Sometime later Matsuda and Motohama were in a place called Kuo Eats, an open-aired restaurant in Kuo town. They had received even worse injuries following their physical punishment from the orc, from Issei themselves. They were enraged, plotting to steal Issei's harem again. "Maybe if we can kill him, the girls will come rushing towards us," Motohama said. "Yeah. There's no way those chicks really love Pussei. Their probs are only interested in his strength, so if we kill him the girls will be attracted by our strength," Matsuda agreed in unison, denying that the girls loved Issei for who he was, not what he had. "Alright, we'll kill him and then take his girls. If they refuse, we will bend them to our will and make them our sex slaves," Motohama said. "Yes. We'll get laid 24/7. Both said out loud, making other people in the distance cringe in disgust in the process. "I'll take a Ramune," someone with a familiar voice who was nearby said. Matsuda and Motohama recognized that voice. It was Issei. It sounded like him. Now was the time to strike. They could finally kill that son of a bitch, and steal his girls. Little did they know that this was not the Issei they were planning to kill, and that what they were about to do was not going to land them chicks and a harem, but a position of being in a coma for 2 years. Issei had just bought a Japanese soda called ramune. It was one of the few things he still enjoyed outside of his other hobbies such as building miniature robots which never failed due to his intellectual mind. "Oh Diedrich. Hey partner, that was the best meal I had in ages. I haven't been able to eat because of my lack of a body, but you gave me a way to eat. You truly are something special. Thanks a lot." Burp. "Yeah. Sure," Issei said as he drank from the glass bottle. As Issei drank from the bottle, he suddenly felt an impact between his mouth and the glass bottle. Thud. Issei had been struck in the head which caused him to make a large impact with his glass bottle. It shattered with force, the glass shards that impacted with his mouth, causing him to bleed a little from the gums and the lips. Normally, he would scream in pain. Injuries like that would normally be serious to the point where the person would have to go to the hospital and get surgery. But due to Issei's change in biology, he didn't feel this kind of pain. In fact, he was less injured than even a human or devil would be. Issei ticked off at the gesture. This was why he didn't like people. He turned his head slightly in order to see the people who just did that to him. Their familiar faces. An almost bald boy, and a boy with glasses. He knew who they were. "Hey Pussei. We're here to kill you and take your girls." Matsuda and Motohama. The Matsuda and Motohama from Issei's universe were his daily bullies. While the entire school back on his Earth viewed him as an outcast, a freak, and shunned him from the social circle. These two boys were his tormentors and torturers. He remembered all the times he would be picked on and beaten up by those two idiots. He would be kicked, punched, beaten up daily. He would gain a few broken bones every day. He was their stress ball, and they had so much pent-up stress. They would take his money, his books, anything they saw fit. There was not a day where Issei didn't run into them. And worse, he couldn't do anything about them. He was weak, slow, he was sloppy, he couldn't fight back. The other students didn't even care about Issei, and why would they? They only saw him as a freak. Even the teachers didn't care. Sure, he was academically and intellectually gifted, but that wasn't enough to make them care. But the biggest reason he despised those two idiots was because of what they and his Earth's Akano did to him. Two other guys I immediately recognized due to one wearing glasses, and the other being almost bald appeared and started making out with her right in front of me, touching every part of her body, from her large breasts to her ass, and at the same time slipping their tongues in her mouth. She was moaning in pleasure while giving me the middle finger. They cucked him, they were fucking Akano right in front of him. The girl whom he thought loved him, actually gave him the middle finger and flipped him off while she was being fucked by Matsuda and Motohama. "Sorry Aiz-kun, but you were only a toy to me. I never cared that much about you from the beginning," the black-haired girl said. "Fuck you Issei. Fuck you Pussei." The memories that came to Issei hit hard like a wrecking ball smashing a whole building. He remembered how painful and heartbreaking it was to know that a person who you helped through thick and thin, didn't care about you. His rage was rising. His hate was present and amplified. Issei looked at the two idiots, his right eye changing, his sclera turned black, while his pupils and iris turned blue. The sight was enough to make anyone scarred for life. The two morons were struck with fear, looking at the appearance of the person they just tried to kill, the black hair, the eyes, the blue shirt, the metal shoes, and the silver talisman he wore around his body with a strap made them come up with a realization. "Hold up. You're not," Matsuda said. Issei uppercutted Matsuda so hard that he was sent flying sky high. Motohama attempted to fight back by trying to punch him. His movements were sloppy, which allowed Issei to knee him in the gut and shoulder throw him to the hard ground using judo. "Please, don't hurt me," Motohama said, pleading for mercy, already bruised and injured due to his previous injuries from earlier. He would have no mercy. Issei lifted the glasses moron by the leg with one hand and began smashing him around the area. Motohama's head hit tables, chairs, and even a stone pillar. At this point he was already bleeding from the head. Kuo Eats was a disaster from the way it looked. Retailers and customers had run out screaming due to the damage Issei had inflicted just by beating up the glasses idiot. "Please. No. More," Motohama said, pleading for mercy, reaching out his hand. Issei was having none of his crap. He completely broke Motohama's arm by shattering his forearm bone, severing it completely. Motohama was screaming in pain. Matsuda tried to defend his fellow moron by trying to charge at Issei like a football player. After all, he used to be a jock, but this wouldn't be enough. Issei saw a nearby table and with one hand, threw it. The table hit Matsuda's head hard. Matsuda was already bleeding from the head. He tried to fight back by throwing punches and kicks, but his movements were also sloppy, less than Motohama's but still sloppy nevertheless. Issei caught one of his arms and uppercutted it hard, breaking Matsuda's arm in the process. Matsuda screamed in pain. He tried kicking Issei in the balls but he dodged it. Instead, Issei kicked him in the balls hard, crushing his testicles and penis altogether. Matsuda wouldn't have kids or sex anytime soon. You crushed my balls. What are you gonna do about it, huh? Issei grabbed him by the leg and started throwing him around the area. Motohama tried to fight back despite his severe injuries. He was trying to walk up to Issei and give him a beatdown. Even with his broken arms, he still had his strength. Issei let go of Matsuda for a while, interested to see what Motohama would do next. Motohama tried to kick him, but Issei caught his leg and smashed his knee, severing and shattering Motohama's leg permanently. He was not going to be able to walk properly for the rest of his life. Issei then took his glasses, which Motohama was blind without, and smashed them onto his ugly mug. Motohama was wailing in pain, glass on his forehead and eye. "Bro," Matsuda said. He tried to charge at him but Issei caught his leg and used him as a baseball bat to hit Matsuda and Motohama. The two idiots were already in severe excruciating pain. Issei created an energy-constructed blue sledgehammer out of the air. It was one of his abilities as the Blue Dragon Emperor. He then hit the two with a sledgehammer by swinging the hammer in a golf-like fashion, sending the two flying as they hit a stone pillar. Issei wasn't even exhausted from that fight, he didn't even take a single hit. He heard sirens. "Oh Diedrich, nice job partner, you may have given them a beatdown, but you also alerted the town's policemen and the emergencies due to the damage you've caused. You're lucky you limited your own powers with that energy cloaker you wear around yourself. If you used your full power, you would have burned down this whole town by the time you were done. They'll probably be looking for those two boys you just beat up. Judging from the damage I dealt to those two, there is a 90% chance they're in a coma," Issei said. "Oh Diedrich. And the other 10%? They're dead," Issei said. "Oh Diedrich. We should get out of here." "Yeah, you're right." Issei deployed his 16 blue dragon wings and flew out of the area, allowing him not to be seen by the authorities as he returned to his homemade home in the woods. "Oh Diedrich. Hey partner, you noticed how those two boys looked like your bullies back in our universe?" "Yeah," Issei replied. "That was the reason he gave them a hard beatdown than he would normally give, even with his powers limited by the energy cloaker he wore." "Oh Diedrich. You think there is a chance that there is a doppelganger or counterpart of you from this universe?" "I actually theorized that I have a doppelganger on this Earth," Issei replied. "Oh Diedrich. Really?" "Yup," Issei said. "I'm having a strange feeling that something will happen soon," Issei said. "Oh Diedrich. We'll get through it together, don't worry." "Yeah, sure," Issei said, doubting that the situation that might occur may be something he can't avoid or get through. The only thing he could do was wait. And hope. End of Chapter 4. First, previous ch 5 of 13. Next, Chapter 5. Looking in a mirror. High School. DxD Alternate Dragon Chapter 5. Like looking in a mirror. The next day at Kuo Academy, Issei and the other members of the Orc were back in the old building. Doing their own busy schedule, they were discussing contract numbers and the possible rating game against the champion Dehauser Belial. A few members of the Orc had already received the promotion to the mid-ranking devils, most notably Issei. Issei's POV. "I should consider thinking about what I really want to do once I become a high-ranking devil. If I don't think now, I'm not going to be able to make plans. I already have my desire to be a harem king, but I really need to start planning if I want to have a successful future, and that's only my life as a devil, not my school life." Normal POV. Rias was just about to continue when she suddenly received an incoming call from her friend and rival, the heiress to the Citri family, Sona Citri. She appeared in a hologram on top of the Citri family symbol. "It's good to see you again, Rias," Sona said in her usual tone. "Same to you, Sona," Rias replied, happy to see her friend again. "I actually called you to inform you of something," Sona said. "What is it, Sona?" Rias asked, curiosity evident in the tone. "I'd like you to investigate something for me," Sona said. "What is it?" Rias inquired. Sona turned to Issei. Hyoudou-san, do you remember your two friends from the perverted trio? Sona asked. Yes, they are not really my friends anymore though, not after what they attempted. What did they try this time? Sona inquired. I'll explain to you another time if it's okay with you, Issei replied. Very well, anyway, your two friends apparently were put into a coma when they were attacked by someone. We believe that someone is of supernatural origin. How do you figure, Sona? Rias asked. To start things off, the incident took place in the open eating area, Kuo Eats. Tsubaki and I studied the damage and it seemed severe for a regular human who just attacked two boys. There were damaged tables, chairs. Several stone pillars were also destroyed, with blood marks on them. There were also burn marks on the retail stands where the food was served. There were also large cracks on the ceiling. Sona said, being very descriptive of the damage done on the area. I think he might have even been holding back in terms of strength, Sona added. Out of curiosity, Sona, what were the damages done on the two boys? Rias inquired. For Matsuda, he has a broken jaw, a fractured skull, a shattered spine, and broken ribs. Several whipping marks and wounds on their body. Also his testicles and penis are irreparably damaged. They're gone now, Sona said. Rias, Issei, and Akeno looked slightly amused, as if the two boys had got what they deserved. Everyone looked at them. I am sorry, please keep going. Sona looked at Rias. It wasn't like her to be amused at the suffering of others. That was something she was going to have to speak to her about later. For Motohama, his injuries are worse. He also has a fractured skull. He was bleeding from the head. He also has the same injuries as Matsuda, but to a worse degree. He has a shattered arm, and his leg is irreparably damaged. He also has glass embedded onto his eye and forehead. The worst part is the two boys are in a coma. The doctor said the time taken for them to wake up from the coma might be 2 years, at the best, at the worst 5 years. I see, injuries like that are really terrible. But how do you know it's a supernatural being who did this? Rias asked. We took a look at video cameras. We weren't able to get a good look at the person due to the damage dealt. But we were able to see that he had black hair. And that what he had was a blue sledgehammer made out of pure energy. Like a construct, Sona said. I see, I'll get right on it, Rias said. Never mind, Rias. Hyoudou-kun, may I ask you to do this instead? Sona asked. Issei looked at her. Yeah, sure. I'll go with you, Eyes, Rias said, clinging onto Issei's arm affectionately. No, Rias, I'd actually like you to have a word with you and Akeno in my private sauna. Why? I'd like to spend time with Eyes, Rias complained. There's a few things I'd like to have a word with you in private about. Just us, Sona said. Issei was bummed because he could see the naked bodies of his girlfriend, the girl who strived to be his mistress, and Sona despite her being flat in the rack. But then again he understood why he should do that. Rias was sad because she wanted to spend time with Issei. I understand, I will investigate as soon as possible, Issei said. Thank you, Hyoudou-kun. No, I think I should call you Eyes-kun from now on, Sona said. I must be going now, goodbye everyone. Rias, meet me in the private sauna tonight. Okay, Rias said. The hologram disappeared, and Sona with it. Silence filled the room for a few minutes. Eyes, why did you decide to take the investigation? Rias asked, still wanting to spend time with her boyfriend. Remember the date we're having this weekend, Rias, Issei reminded her. Also, I'm curious on who beat up my former friends and caused that much damage. This thought calmed down Rias. Very well, but please be careful. I don't want to see you getting hurt. Era, let me take Eyes-kun's virginity before he goes, Akeno said, licking Issei's cheek. I'm finally gonna get laid. And oh, I said it's my virginity he wants. Rias said, trying to pull Issei from Akeno's grasp. This fight continued on for 15 minutes, at the devastated Kuo Eats. Issei had just arrived at the former eating area. He was shocked at the amount of damage that had been caused. A supernatural being definitely had caused this much damage. The area looked like it was falling apart. He looked around. There was definitely not much to find. The rubble from the damage certainly made sure of it. Any clue that would help answer the question was gone. Until Diedrich. Hey Issei, yeah Diedrich. Issei asked. Diedrich. I'm detecting the remnants of a dragon here, specifically a heavenly dragon. That's unusual, aren't there only two though? Me and Valley, Issei said. Diedrich. I know, the only way we will find out was by finding it. Alright, Issei said. Deploying his devil wings. Lead the way, he soared into the skies. Issei's flight took around 15 minutes. He landed in the outer areas of Kuo town. The outskirts of Kuo town? Issei asked. Are you sure your presence leads here? Diedrich. Yeah, I'm sure. We should make it quick. I heard this place isn't exactly the best for people to get together, Issei said, looking at the bounty hunters stationed there. Issei began to look for the person who dealt the damage to the eatery. Little did he know, the one he was looking for found him. From the top of a building, Issei had laid eyes on his doppelganger, the brown-haired teen, with the red shirt and the red gauntlet. It's just as I predicted. I figured I would run into my counterpart sooner or later, Issei said. Oh Diedrich. Yeah, looks like you were right to doubt partner. What do we do now? I'm gonna follow him, Issei said. Issei had just been walking for the past hour, searching. He found himself in a corner. He was just about to walk out of the area, when suddenly, he was cornered by people. These people weren't just ordinary people. They were surviving soldiers of the old Satan faction of the Chaos Brigade, who wanted revenge for almost killing Shalba. Well, look who we have here, the soldier said. I am just looking for someone, I'm not here to cause a commotion, Issei said. You made a problem when you destroyed the old Satan faction. Seekvaira, the old Satan soldier said. I think we should return the favor, they said. I'd rather not, Issei said. The soldiers got ready to fight. Diedrich, you know what to do, Issei said. Diedrich. 1.2.3. Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker. Dragon Shot. Issei said, killing several of the soldiers. The other soldiers attempted to kill him, by firing magical bolts at him. It did nothing to faze the Red Dragon Emperor, who killed the soldiers without taking damage. The last soldier, however, had created a charge shot. Goodbye Seekvaira A.x the last soldier said. But before he could fire the blast, his arm had been blasted off with a blue energy blast. Ah, my arm, the soldier said, wailing in pain. That wasn't me, Issei said. All of a sudden, a man with black hair, one eye, with his left eye in an eye patch, wearing the white Kuo Academy collar, a navy blue mask over his mouth, a blue t-shirt underneath, with black pants, and armor on his shoes, shin, knees and shoulder, as well as a silver talisman around him like a strap, jumped down from a nearby roof, saving Issei in the process. Issei lifted his right arm, revealing his sacred gear, the gauntlet of the Blue Dragon Emperor. Amplifying gear. A blaster construct popped out from the forearm. Noticing Issei's black sclera and blue pupils, the soldier in fear attempted to run away, hoping to survive. He was already dead, with not even a single use of the boost function. Issei delivered a small blast of blue energy that obliterated the soldier, with only his scream the last thing to be heard. Issei looked at the man who saved him. Even though I didn't need saving, I should thank you for saving me, so thank. Issei removed the mask that covered his mouth. Issei looked at the man right in front of him. It was like looking into a mirror, despite the obvious differences present. There was no doubt telling that this man looked almost exactly like him. The black hair, the scary eye, the blue shirt, the armor. It would be easy to distinguish from him, but his face still looked uncanny despite having one eye. Who are you? Issei asked the stranger who had just saved him. Issei remained silent for a minute, looking at his obvious doppelganger, and analyzing his features before responding. From a certain point of view, Issei said, I'm you. End of Chapter 5. First, previous ch 6 of 13 next. Chapter 6. The Sana High School DxD, Alternate Dragon. Chapter 6. The Sana Rias and Akano had been requested by the Student Council President, Sona Citri, to join her in a private sauna for a friendly chat about personal matters. Sona took note of a few differences in the behavior of her friend, how she took amusement at the injuries of the two boys, and how she seemed really affectionate and close to Hyoudou Issei. It was definitely not like her to find amusement at the misfortune of two boys, especially when they were from someone else. But most of all, while she did take note of Rias' affection towards the Red Dragon Emperor, her current actions towards him were too close, almost as if they were dating. The two great ladies of Kuo Academy had arrived at the sauna, their naked bodies and big breasts being covered by almost nothing except the towels that they were wearing. I wonder where Sona is? Rias asked. I hope this is important. I want to have fun with Issei-kun, Akano said with a big smile on her face. Yes, I hope so too, Rias said. I miss you already, Rias said. I see you're making yourselves comfortable already, Sona said, who had just arrived alongside her queen Tsubaki Shinra. Like Rias and Akano, Sona and Tsubaki were king and queen respectively, close friends, and as of the moment, clad with nothing but the towels covering their buxom bodies. All four girls eventually let go of the towels, revealing their curvy and voluptuous bodies, naked as the day they were born. Unlike Tsubaki, who had large breasts, Sona was quite flat. However, those who knew her know not to say that to her. She was known for her water manipulation ability and her strict attitude. Pissing her off has never been a good idea. "I'd like to discuss some things with you, Rias," Sona said. "Fire away, Sona," Rias replied. "I'd like to talk to you about a few things, one of which is regarding the matter that was discussed yesterday," Sona said. "What about it? When I mentioned the two boys who were injured at the hands of the mysterious supernatural being, you found amusement and almost laughed. You, Akeno, and Issei-kun," Sona said. "What about it?" Rias said, slightly amused once more. "There is it again, your amusement showing. You normally don't take amusement when other people get hurt. So why the difference with Issei-kun's two friends?" Sona asked. Tsubaki looked at Rias, her interest piqued. "Do you know the rumors regarding a blackmailing Issei?" Rias asked. "Yes, I heard the rumors. I have to admit, when I first met Issei-kun, I was quite miffed when I heard about his perverted attitude. But after I learned about how he went through all kinds of trouble to ensure your happiness, I learned that there is more to him than just his pervertedness. I tried to dispel those rumors but it didn't work," Sona said. "Those rumors came from those two boys who are currently in comas," Akeno replied. Sona was shocked. Were those two boys really Issei's friends? "That's not even the worst part," Rias said. "What's the worst part?" Tsubaki and Sona asked. "They attempted to steal us from eyes by peeping on us from outside the clubhouse," Rias said. "What do you mean by steal? Aren't you still single?" Tsubaki asked. Rias blushed a dark shade of crimson. Akeno giggled. "Nope. Are you and Issei-kun?" "Yes," Rias said with a big smile plastered on your face. "Congratulations to you, Rias," Sona said. She had seen the two of them together and hoped they would get together someday. "I'm so happy for you too," Tsubaki said, in a tone that was unlike her. "Tsubaki," Sona said, with a sparkle on her glasses. Tsubaki returned to her serious face. "Thank you, Sona, Tsubaki," Rias replied. "Eyes, kun," Akeno blurted out loud, daydreaming of the boy she wanted to become a mistress to. "You're in love with him too, Akeno?" Tsubaki asked. "I think I should be asking you how you and Kiba are," Akeno said, giggling. Tsubaki started blushing like crazy. "It would seem I'm not the only one in love," Rias said. "Indeed," Sona agreed. Silence filled the room for a few seconds. "Did the two boys attempt to do something to you, Rias?" Sona asked. "They tried to but failed. We gave them some punishment as a result," Akeno said. "Issei disowned them actually and gave them a beatdown," Rias said. "I see, they were jealous of all the attention Issei was getting," Sona said. She now felt less concerned about the situation. To be honest, she even felt happier that Issei had disowned his friends. Whilst observing him, she noticed how he always suffered for things that his other two friends usually did. They treated him like a scapegoat. Issei was better off with the occult research club, with his real friends, with Rias. Silence filled the room once more. Sweat enveloped the girls' bodies, due to the temperature inside the sauna. "Sona, how about you? You've always looked for someone to love. How about Saji?" Rias said, aware that Saji held affection towards Sona Citri. "I only see him as a brother," Sona said. "I see," Rias said. "Enough about love lives, Rias. I have something more important to discuss with you," Sona said. "What is it about Sona?" Rias asked. "The mysterious individual who beat up those two boys," Sona said. "I think he may not be a devil," Sona said. "That is something to consider, but what makes you so sure?" Akeno asked. "When me and Tsubaki learned about how he created an energy hammer out of thin air. That was our first giveaway. The man we are looking for is definitely not a devil. But I feel something weird." "Which is?" Rias asked. "Never mind," Sona said. The two kings continued talking to each other, while Akeno kept on teasing Tsubaki about Kiba. Meanwhile, in the outskirts of Kuo town, "Wait. What do you mean?" Issei asked, dumbfounded at the introduction and revelation. "I'm you," Issei said coldly. "You're not making any sense. How could you be me?" "I'm myself," Issei stated, a million questions going off in his head. "Diedrig. Even I don't get what you're saying." "Oh, Diedrig. My name is Diedrig, Blue Dragon Emperor, formerly Red, also known as the Amplifying Dragon. I'm also you, buddy." Diedrich. What, oh Diedrich. Yeah, you better believe it. I believe an explanation is in order, Issei said with a cold voice. Yeah. How do you share the same face as I with a few differences? You're not an illegitimate brother of mine, are you? Issei asked with a shocked look on his face. No, I'm not, Issei said, with an annoyed look on his face, already turned off by his counterpart. Come with me, I'll explain everything to you, Issei said as he began walking out of the corner. Wait. How do I know I can trust you? Issei asked. Do you want answers or not? Issei raised his voice. Issei was struck silent. Also, unless you want to die, people out here hate others from the inner parts. You may have a sacred gear, but you're not supposed to pull it out in public, am I right? Even with it, you would attract attention from other people. I can help you if you find trouble at one point, Issei stated with venom in his voice. Partner, be careful, Diedrich said. Issei nodded mentally. Alright, I'm coming, Issei said as he began walking out of the corner, deactivating his sacred gear in the process. Issei began walking with his counterpart. He noticed the violent looks he was getting from the others he found in the outskirts. His parents have always told him about how he should never go into the outskirts of Kuo town. He now understood why. The two kept walking until they reached a forest which had an infrastructure that was Issei's home, which was actually an abandoned shrine. It reminded Issei of Akano and how she also used to live in an abandoned shrine. Did you find this place yourself or did you make it? It's impressive, Issei said. Issei remained silent. Despite being an abandoned shrine, Issei's house in the middle of the forest actually looked very sturdy and visually appealing. There were no worn-out areas and the shrine looked like it would stay in place for a long time. Issei and Issei stepped into the shrine, the latter opening a few lights revealing the inside of the house. The inside looked very comfortable. There was a kitchen, a bedroom, and a living room with a few video game consoles. There were also a few bathrooms. There was also a room that looked like it had a few robots inside as well as a few toolboxes. Does this guy build robots? Issei asked himself mentally. Issei walked into the kitchen and pulled out a glass and began filling it with water from the refrigerator. He then handed the glass to his brown-haired counterpart. Issei looked at his counterpart with distrustful eyes. It's not poisoned, thank you, Issei said, taking a sip from the water. Now I need you to listen to me, Issei said. Okay, I'm listening, Issei said. My name is Issei. Issei Kannagi. I am you, Issei said once more. This is the third time you've said it, dude, Issei said. From another universe. Issei finished. Wait. What? Issei said, dumbfounded once more. Diedrich. Another universe? Oh Diedrich. Yes, another universe. Another, what do you mean? Issei said. Diedrich, I've heard about the law of the multiverse from past hosts, and from my knowledge a few scientists attempted to prove the theory. But none succeeded. Could it really be? I still don't get it, Issei stated. Do you not know the law of the multiverse? Issei said, deeply annoyed by his counterpart. Oh Diedrich. Partner, chill, he's only a high school student. What you know is leagues greater than what any other person knows. Issei sighed. The law of the multiverse states that each universe has an alternate counterpart similar in many ways, but differing depending on random circumstances. Early recorded examples of the idea of infinite worlds existed in the philosophy of ancient Greek atomism, which proposed that infinite parallel worlds arose from the collision of atoms. In the 3rd century BC, philosopher Chrysippus suggested that the world eternally expired and regenerated, effectively suggesting the existence of multiple universes across time. Issei said, acting as if this was stock knowledge for him. Issei had a stupid look on his face, still not understanding what was going on. Issei was triggered once more that he had to put up with his own counterpart. Okay, in simple terms, there are an infinite number of universes out there, with an infinite number of Earths. Each individual on a certain Earth has a counterpart on other universes, Issei explained. Oh, I get it, never mind, Issei said, laughing. I want to strangle him already. Now for the other one, you stated that you're me, right? I'm guessing you're from an alternate universe. Yes, Issei said. I just said that a few minutes ago. How dumb is my counterpart? Why exactly are you here? Issei asked. My business is my own, Issei replied tersely. Silence filled the room for a few minutes. I have another thing to say to you, Issei said. What? Issei said. A few days ago 2 boys in Kuo Eats were heavily injured in who appeared to be a black-haired boy who created a construct hammer that was composed of pure blue energy. Oh Diedrich. Oh snap. Partner, we got caught, what do we do? I never should have let loose on those two boys, what about it? Issei asked. When I first saw you, you created an energy blaster that was blue. Out of thin air, Issei said. It's no doubt you could create a hammer with an ability like that. Did you beat up my former friends and cause that much damage? Issei asked. Silence filled the room for a few seconds. Yes, Issei replied tersely. You were friends with them? All right. Listen, I'm not friends with those guys anymore, but you didn't have to do something like that. What did they ever do to you? Issei said. They attacked me, thinking they were attacking you. They slammed my face against my drinking glass, Issei retorted. Oh Drake. They attacked us actually. Issei was left speechless. Okay then, Issei replied. The room was filled with dead silence once more. What's with the eye patch? Issei asked, piqued by the eye patch his counterpart wore on his left eye. Issei remained silent. He's a very aloof counterpart of you, partner. I didn't expect a counterpart of you to be aloof. Yeah, no kidding, Drake. Is he a member of the Chaos Brigade? Okay, fine. What exactly are you? Issei asked again. Issei raised his eyebrow. You're able to create constructs on blue energy. You're also able to destroy a place completely just by beating up two boys, and one of my friends has told me you may have even been holding back. Drake. Also you possess the power of a heavenly dragon. I was curious about this, but then you showed me you have a Dragon Emperor's gauntlet that apparently holds my counterpart. Also, why is your gauntlet blue? You ask too many questions, Issei stated. I'm not telling you the important details, not yet. I will say this though, I'm not human, not anymore. I see, Issei said. I've told you everything I want for now. This is something that the student council president and Rias should know about. I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell anyone of my existence. Why shouldn't I? Issei asked. I'm trying to keep my existence a secret. By the way, I'm not a member of the Chaos Brigade. I'm trying to remain neutral, not be on either side, just trying to live my life in peace. Besides, I saved you, does that not merit me a favor? Did he read my mind? Partner, I hate to betray the girl's trust, but I think we should play along with him. We need to see if he can be trusted. And we can learn more about him in the process. I'm interested to see what his origins are. Fine, I won't tell anyone for now, but if you do anything like what happened in the eatery, I'll be running back to you with people. Issei warned. Oh Drake. This isn't the last time we will meet. Drake. What makes you so sure? Call it a hunch. Issei said to the red dragon Drake. Now leave, I don't like people, Issei said tersely. How do I get out of there's a tunnel near this forest around the south corner of my home. You can use it to get back to the inner parts of Kuo town. Complying with what his counterpart said, Issei left the house. As he was walking, Drake started talking to him again. Drake. Partner, I'm sensing something weird about your counterpart. What is it, Drake? Issei asked. Drake. He was definitely telling the truth, he's not human. Drake. But I'm thinking about this, I don't think he's a devil either, or at least not anymore. What makes you so sure? Drake. While we were with him, I observed his behavior, power levels and energy signatures. He seems to be off the scale for a devil when it comes to the latter two. I don't think he is one. Besides, if he was a devil, wouldn't he have a master to serve or a peerage to command? That does make sense. I wonder why he's all the way out here in another universe. Issei thought out loud. Drake. That's why I think we should do as he says and keep his existence a secret from the student council president and your girlfriend. At least for the time being. I feel bad lying to Rias and Kaichu, but if it's the only way to learn more about him and determine his intentions. Issei struggled with himself once more, even though he already agreed. All right, for the time being, right, Drake? Drake, for the time being, partner. Issei continued through the tunnel until he reached the inner parts once more. He then took a 10-minute walk that led back to his home. Meanwhile, back at Issei Kannagi's home, Issei had decided to use the remainder of his day tinkering with a few small robots. He was already annoyed by his doppelganger, so he decided to build a few small robots to ease his annoyed feelings. Back home, what he lacked in friends and a social life, he made up for in his brilliant intellect. He excelled in many subjects such as history, engineering and other educational fields. While many of his students and his parents back in his native universe would bully him and destroy his creations for fun, Issei always knew how to fix his creations and make them better. He might have been very successful in the future. If only he had a loving family. Too bad he never had one. A loving one at least. The robots he built looked akin to giant robots from those Japanese movies such as Godzilla, Power Rangers, and Gundam. Issei was just doing some finishing touches on his new creation when his Diedrig began speaking again. "Oh Diedrig. Hey partner. What? Oh Diedrig. You think because we found this Earth's counterpart of you, there may be a counterpart of the O." Diedrig could sense his partner's emotions. Issei was already fuming with rage. He clearly didn't want to hear it. Or think about for that matter. Blue flame engulfed his fists. "Oh Diedrig. Gulp, never mind about that. What are you working on?" The blue flame quelled from his fists, and with it, his rage. "A small robot from a franchise I loved back home." What Issei finished working on was a small version of the Gundam RX-78. Gundam was one of his favorite things back home. He remembered he would always be given a free model kit from a few shop owners every time he came back from school in his native universe. He built these models, and then made 6-inch sized mechanical robots from the appearance of the models. The mecha itself looked like a spitting image of the overall design. The iconic head, the proportions, everything was on point. The biggest thing Issei always added for his small robots was the ability to move. Using programming skills and a few miniature jet technology added to the robot, his miniature robots could move with extreme precision and agility. The RX-78 also possessed a laser blade, but unlike model kits, the laser blade was actually a real laser that could cut through anything. Issei turned on a button, activating the RX-78. It started moving around and swinging its sword with elegance. A few seconds later, the machine soared in the air, flying around. "Oh Diedrig, Eureka partner. HMPH, Issei said. End of chapter 6. First, previous ch7 of 13 next.